Uh, Thank you. On behalf of the Citizens for Fair Ferndale, we're now in our second round of questioning for presentations for the council position, and we'll go down the aisle, and then we'll mix up the order of presentation. So we'll start with Dan Martin. We have 3 minutes for your opening statement.
Right, well, thank you. I'd like to thank Citizens for a Fair Ferndale for having us here today. My name is Dan Martin, and I'm here today running for City Council because I am, as Dave said, love and am so passionate about this city. This is a tremendous opportunity to be the voice for residents and businesses on City Council, to have a voice in its future, and to make sure we continue on a progressive path of positive growth while recognizing the economic difficulties that every municipality, every family that we're all facing right now, and it's crucially important. And looking at the challenges that Ferndale has, looking at the successes Ferndale has, I feel I've got a unique skill set that will add a very positive and proactive voice to council. 7 years ago when I moved into Ferndale, my wife and I got involved in this community right away, and it's so easy to do. One of the questions on the questionnaire on C.F.F. is, how do you get involved in Ferndale? And my answer is, stand up in a room and say, I want to volunteer. They'll tackle you from 5 different directions. It's so easy, and that speaks so much to the activist nature of this community and how much people are passionate about this. And to be a part of that is really something special, and one of the reasons why Sherry, my wife, and I have called Ferndale our home. I've been chair of the Ferndale Community Foundation for the past 3 years and have been able to build very positive collaborative relationships with businesses and other nonprofit organizations and the city itself. And not only, I think, will that experience help me on City Council, it's part of the reflective nature of everything that's great about Ferndale. The foundation's given over $50,000 over the past years to projects that improve the quality of life. It's been a phenomenal experience. My term there is just about up at the end of this month, or at the end of this year. And with an opening on City Council, I'm in it because it's kind of the next progression to be able to contribute and grow this community that we're all here for. So that's in a nutshell why I'm in it here today. I look forward to a very candid discussion. I really appreciate the level of discourse that this campaign's had so far, especially when you look at some of the surrounding communities, and that too, I think, speaks for what we're all fighting for here to preserve in Ferndale, that sense of community, that sense of neighborhood, and that this is really a special place to be. And if I'm elected to council, I will do everything in my power is to wake up every morning and make sure that it continues to be that special place, looking for those opportunities and those safeguards and that growth for our neighbors as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Sherry Wells.
Thank you. Citizens for a Fair Ferndale was founded to foster a community that is dedicated to the fair and equal treatment of all residents and visitors, regardless of characteristics that, in the Michigan Law for Everyone books that I've written since 1984, I point out are basically traits we are born with. Did you know that Ferndale, in its charter in 1927, contained 2 civil rights provisions? They were religion and political orientation. I led the call for a Charter Revision Commission in 1997, was elected to it, and served it for 3 years. I researched Michigan cities and found 15 with civil rights provisions, none of them earlier than 1963. Ferndale was in the lead back then. The ordinance passed in 2006 covered nearly all of the rest. But there is still a need for equal treatment. I am calling for a trialogue between residents, businesses, and government. There is much information about each of these 3 that needs to be out to the others. Many ways in which we can work together for the benefit of our common community. C.F.F. holds forums and educational workshops. I plan to bring what I've learned from the residents, from the businesses, and from the government to C.F.F. and other community organizations for a collaboration to bring about that trialogue. The C.F.F. questionnaire emphasized city communication with the schools and neighboring cities. I've been familiar with the Ferndale schools. My daughter went there. But we have Ferndale students in Hazel Park schools too. Last Monday I attended the Hazel Park Board of Education meeting, and I will attend the Hazel Park City Council meeting next Tuesday. Their mayor has been attending our city council meetings for some time now. In past years, I attended council meetings in Pleasant Ridge and in Royal Oak Township. Sustainability sounds like a buzzword, but in this economy, we, residents, businesses, and government, can work together to not only reduce our cost of living, but to enhance our lives and our community.
Thank you. Mike Lennon?
Yes, thank you. I'm going to try to get through this. I'm a little under the weather. Most of you, in fact, I know everybody in this room. I am seeking my third term on council. The last 8 years, I think I've proven that I'm not old school. I can think outside the box. And I am frugal with the city's money. I'm not old school, and I'm independent school. And independent means I think independently and I vote independently, and I think I've proven that. There's a lot more that needs to be done in this city. We've hit a few bumps in the road the last couple of years economically, but we've weathered the storm. And there's a little more progression to be done, and I want to be there for the next 4 years to see it through. Thank you.
All right, let's change the order, beginning with Sherry Wells. The question is, what are Ferndale's biggest challenges?
Obviously, the financial one. That's the biggest challenge for the city, for the residents, and the businesses. We're all in this same leaky boat, and we can all help patch it up. We have a lot more we can do, but one of the things that I've found is the lack of information has led some people to feel frustrated, to feel suspicious, and we need to get that information out there to make it better able for us to work together. So it's the economy, but it's also what we can do to learn about each other, to be able to work together, to get together through that situation into something that's better on the other end.
Mike Lennon?
Yes, I think you're going to find probably all three of us in agreement. It's going to be economics for the city. Like I just mentioned, we've hit a bump in the road, and we weathered that storm, but we're going to have to learn how to provide key city services by sharing services with other cities, teaming with the schools, teaming with the library. We need to be creative and find innovative ways to raise revenues, but one thing that keeps Ferndale attractive is its city services, and we need to stay the course with those.
Dan Martin?
Sure. The three biggest issues that Ferndale's facing right now, like everyone here has said, is the economic health and well-being of the city. We passed a millage earlier this year that invests in Ferndale, and we need to protect that investment. We need to make sure that the expenditures we're making are for the right things, not only taking care of us in the short term with things like police and fire protection, but providing needed investment to the future to make sure that we're successful down the road. Secondly, I would say business retention. Those businesses are here, are able to stay here, in creating an environment in which they can do that. And making sure that we bring new businesses here. And sometimes it's businesses outside of the box. It doesn't have to be some of the same kind of things we have here today. We've got the Chambers of Commerce and the DDA in place, and the city can help promote bringing in new and a broader variety of businesses that add to our overall culture and health here in Ferndale. And a big issue for me, secondly, is I just want to involve more people in city government. There's a plethora of ways to do it, and many of which are out there, and we can talk about it tonight. But I think the more people we bring into the conversation and engage in the process of solving our city's problems, it's a huge mistake to think that council's got all the answers. We need to build those mechanisms to bring more people in and be able to tap into the talent pool beyond those who've decided to run for election. And that includes regional collaboration on a number of issues. We've already have a strong history of regional collaboration in Ferndale. There are many more areas I think we can branch out and be successful in.
Very good. The next question, actually, some of you have already begun to address, and it is, how do you think you can help the city balance the budget without doing away with or reducing services? And let's start with Mike Leonard.
Well, I mentioned that in the last question.
You did, I understand. Not everyone did.
We have to work with other agencies, other cities, with the schools, with the library, citizen input, a lot of ways. We have to find different ways to raise revenue. Right now, our city manager is working on a couple things. One of them is with the school. to help develop a better IT situation. We are kind of lacking in that area. We were at the forefront of sharing services when we teamed with Pleasant Ridge many years ago. We're one of the first in the area to do that. And now we're looking at another city, actually 2 more cities teaming with some efforts there. So, like I said, I answered this question last question. It's working together, citizen input, sharing services. We're moving in that direction right now as we speak, and we're going to continue to do so.
Dan Martin?
Sure. Again, I think we've kind of talked about this, but how I personally, I think what I bring to the table to help address the financial situation in Ferndale is I have a strong background in working with large and complex budgets. I have an educational background in public administration and economics. I also have both a professional and a nonprofit background of bringing people together and working collaboratively to identify those opportunities to address where we can work further with the budget. We've got another in this 2-year budget, which I'm a huge fan of multi-year budgeting, the opportunity to look at the second bump that's coming and try to reduce that or address that as much as possible. That's something that the voters approved, but it doesn't mean we have to take it to its full fruition. And with new key employees in the city, with the city manager, the economic development director, and the personnel shifts at the city, it creates an opportunity for fresh ideas, to encourage that kind of cultivation, and to build on what we've already done in the city to do it. I'm very concerned, as everyone here is, about the financial health and the budget, and we want to make sure we do not add extra burden to the taxpayers in the city while we maintain and protect our services, and as I said, invest in the future.
Okay, Sherry Wells.
Thank you. My professional background is as a lawyer, reading all of those documents that are, if they're nowadays in Michigan, if they're drawn up by lawyers, they're not as complicated as the others. But there are still other documents, such as insurance and other contracts that the city has to deal with that are still in the archaic language that they blame on us lawyers for. So those are something that I can bring that as a strength to the City Council. One of the things is to continue becoming a greener city, because green can reduce a lot of the expenses. I've seen that City Council already had an audit for the electricity and was reducing that cost. The city already writes for a lot of grants. I think there's more attention that needs to be given to how many grants the city does succeed in getting, and I'm sure that would encourage the city departments to do even more if that's recognized. There's another example of direct citizen involvement. Another Ferndalian and I went to the east side of Detroit, I can't recall, it may have been Harper Woods, for a home improvement leftovers recycling. People in that city would bring whatever home improvement leftover stuff they had from their projects early in the morning, and then those would be all sorted out into specific places, and then a little bit later, then they and anyone else could come in and take whatever of those things that were there that they could use. And this is something we've been mulling over for a long time. It's time to do this. Everyone I've talked to likes this. What that means is we can do our home improvement projects for less money, and there is much less of that that's going to go into the trash for Ferndale to pay for. The more we recycle, if we recycle more than we put in our trash, the city of Ferndale doesn't have to pay for trash.
All right, thank you. The next question is, who has endorsed you? Let's start with Don Martin.
Dan?
Dan, sorry.
That's fine. I've had the privilege, and it's been very touching, and to receive a great deal of support in the community. Our current state representative, Ellen Kogen-Lipton's endorsed me. Mayor Coulter and Councilwoman Baker and Piano. Councilman Galloway and Mike Lennon's endorsed me as well. I've been endorsed by the UAW Region 1, the trade unions, Michigan Equality, Pride Pack in Michigan, Sierra Club, and the Michigan National Organization for Women PAC. I've also been endorsed by several prominent area residents, including Ann Heller, Peggy Snow, Greg Pollica, Jeannie Davis, John Starrett, and there's a significant list beyond that. I could go on. I've been, you know, I don't think who stands with you, I think, kind of tells a tale about you, and I'm very proud to stand with these individuals in the community. And I know I'm forgetting folks, and please forgive me when I do, but it's been very nice to have the kind of support in the community I've received so far.
All right, thank you. Sherry Wells?
Yes, I have received the Sierra Club endorsement, and I appreciate that. I've been being green. Well, I was raised by people who grew up during the Depression, so we've been green and recycling and all that all my life. I have a committee of people who have been very supportive and energetic on my behalf, and that's wonderful. But the endorsers that count the most are the ones who will be voting for me in November.
Mike Lennon.
Well, there's a host of people in the city that have endorsed me. As far as State Rep Ellen Cogden-Lipton, Mayor Coulter, Councilwoman Piana, Councilwoman Baker, Oakland County Commissioner Craig Covey, Oakland County Executive Al Brooks Patterson, Jeannie Davis, UAW, trade agents of Oakland County, operating engineers, sheet metal workers, Ferndale DPW workers, and there's just a host more. Unfortunately, they're not all sending me money, but they'll be getting their endorsements. I got a lot of empty envelopes. We're endorsing you. But there's a host of people, and I think I've had the support out there in the past, and I'm pretty confident I'll get it again. Thank you.
The next question is, how do we attract young millenniums and young families to live and stay in Ferndale? Start with Sherry Wells.
I would truly like to attract the millennials to live and stay in Ferndale, because I think some of them would behave better if they actually lived here instead of just coming in here, enjoying our nightlife, loudly enjoying our nightlife. And some of them have. It's been wonderful at City Council to hear someone say, well, I came to Ferndale for the bars, and I decided I liked the place so much, I moved here, I'm married, I'm raising my kids here. Now that is when they find out. I was telling the business community, I said, we need a new slogan called Ferndale at Night and Ferndale in the Light, because we have two different Ferndales. And when somehow we can get those very people who are here at night to see how wonderful it is during the day, to see the kind of community that has had people like us here, and all of those who are supporting us, that's what the millennials need to do. We need to specifically start inviting them to raise their hand at some place that's looking for volunteers. And that is something that in our strategic planning that the Rotary did on Thursday night was part of what we were talking about too, is we need to start finding ways to involve the younger people. Anyone who's ever volunteered has always claimed that they got more out of the volunteering than whoever they were helping. And that's a message that once people start, they get hooked. And Dave Coulter thinks he's going to retire from this. I bet he won't.
Thank you. Dan Martin.
Thanks. This is a great question. And going door to door and talking to several millennials, we also hosted an event last week where we brought in area bands to come play, and that attracted a large number of millennials as well. And we had just great discussion, not only about how great the bands were, but also what is it about Ferndale that brings you here? What's going to keep you here when you get past this phase in your life? And I think it comes down to the fact that how millennial, that generation likes to work is different, and we need to build a community that accommodates that as well as everyone else. We talk about a walkable community, but being able to have jobs in Ferndale and the surrounding areas where they can walk, or hopefully in the near future take mass transit to those jobs and promote those kinds of industries is going to keep them here. Having a vibrant and interesting and engaging downtown with activities that interest them is going to keep them here as well. And as they grow and get to know their neighbors, and as they get through different phases of their life, the neighborhood is going to become even more important to them. Knowing your neighbors, building those connections in the community, and it's just a tremendous, tremendous volunteer force who really have a vested interest in making the city and the neighborhoods they live in better, and tapping into them to get those to get that energy and that engagement in the city is going to be critical in keeping millennials here in the future.
Okay, next question, one we heard earlier in the first set of discussions. Who are your models for strong? Thank you.
And he was going to let him
Moderator's
skip
gotta be
it.
keeping straight. My
What is the question again?
tendencies as a teacher. The question was, what do we have to do to keep millennials and young families in Ferndale?
Well, it's been answered by both my counterparts, and I'll agree. For lack of a better term, I would have to say you have to kind of cater to them, and you have to get them involved in the community. And you have to provide excellent city services. And when you get them here, you need to get them on board as far as volunteering, get them involved, show them what kind of community we have. I know one gentleman right now lives in Detroit. He's got a gorgeous house, but he wants to be in Ferndale, and he works locally up here, and he's looking for a house right now. So you have to get their energy, and you have to let it work for us, and bring them in here, and have them involved on a board or a commission or whatnot, and get them to come to a council meeting. Just please don't come for our nightlife. We do have other stuff to offer. We have great parks. Our neighborhoods are really nice. We have a strong code enforcement division to make sure of that. So I think just working with them and finding out what they want, when you find out what they want, again, I'll say cater, but I really don't mean cater, but we will have to find out what they want, and we have to do what we can to keep them here.
The next question was, who are your models for strong leadership, for good leadership? And Dan, Martin?
Sure. There are just so many nationally and on many levels, being a history buff like I am, but I'm going to stick to some local examples. First one I'll say is Ann Heller. You cannot consider anyone else in this community who's taken an idea from a kernel of, hey, you know, we really need to address this uninsured problem, to this incredible fruition that her and her board has put together over here on the corner with Fern Care. I mean, what a tremendous success for Ferndale, and what a testament to leadership and vision and execution. And not all of that was easy. You know, sometimes it took a 2-week delay to get a drinking fountain in. But overall, what a tremendous success. And it speaks so highly for Ann's and that board's leadership. And I think it's incredibly inspirational. So that would be my first example. My second example would be Mayor Dave Coulter. I think he's stayed with this community and stuck through it through any number of instances, sometimes winning elections, sometimes not, but always committed. And not just in the political arena. When we had the cooling center set up, which was largely part driven, you know, by his energy, he was there providing food for the folks that were stuck there to get out of the heat, as well as the backpack program. He's currently promoting, and we'll hear more about at council tomorrow, where we're providing school supplies and backpacks to Head Start kids. And that's not for any kind of political advantage or anything that he gets out of that. It's just about strong leadership and walking the walk and authentic leadership, demonstrating that. We've got great local examples for that. So those would be two that come to my mind right away.
Okay, Mike Lennon?
Well, you stole my thunder there, Dan. A true hero is Ann Heller.
Thief.
What she's accomplished and what she's done is truly remarkable. She's done something a hero is somebody that serves their community in which they live. And that's why the men and women of the armed services, they're my heroes. Ann Heller's my hero. It's not LeBron James, not Michael Jordan. And it shouldn't be. And I wish the kids would realize that. But I've been involved in the political arena all my life. And I watched one gentleman, you know, rise up through the ranks and eventually had a job with state government, and that had been my father. And that's my hero. Thank you.
Sherry Wells?
Yes. I had many leadership examples, starting with my own parents. It took me a while to remember that my father had run for school board, two-room country school, and county commission. And my mother had been a lot of volunteering, so much that once we all finished at 4-H, she started realizing, I don't have any kids in 4-H anymore. Why am I still being involved? So the kind of involvement I got from my parents, I had many examples of women leaders to be a role model for, because when I grew up, women were not out there. We were struggling to learn how to be leaders, and so they were just wonderful role models for poise, tact, for assertiveness without being too aggressive, because we still couldn't do that as women. And so by the time I got to Ferndale, I'd already been in a lot of leadership capacities, starting organizations, reviving organizations, and this just gave another place to fit in very well in so many different places. But it gave me a chance a few times to not be the leader, and that's good. I can do that too. I did handle, I believe, the chairmanship of the City Charter Revision Commission very well for those 2 years, and am fitting well in the Rotary. The motto of Rotary is service above self, and that's something that someone complimented me as saying I was the epitome of that Rotary motto. I enjoyed that very much, but we have other business people too that are service above self, and I could name many of them in this town that I just admire and brag about.
Okay, the next question is, what will you do to strengthen Ferndale's neighborhoods? Let's start with Mike Lennon.
Well, Mayor and I have discussed this, and we're trying to figure out a way, and find out a way to make, if you currently add on to your house, or you do some major home improvement, your taxes are going to go up. And that's preventing a lot of people from doing these projects in this time. So we're trying to find out a way to make it, and there's a lot of research that goes into it, make these loans available for these homeowners to expand, make their houses very attractive without having to pay through the nose on their taxes. So that and safe streets is a key to the neighborhoods, and I forgot the question.
The flu will do that.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah,
I'm just a mess.
Yes.
Okay, well, Sherry Wells.
All right. We have strong neighborhoods, even those that don't have formal block clubs. There's usually 1 or 2 people in that neighborhood that's a leader. In fact, I understand that some of the success of the Hilton Fall Festival is because there are some people on those blocks just east of Hilton that got the word out more than the people running the festival in order to get the people taking advantage of that. So we have those things. I tried to start a downtown neighborhood association, and maybe that's not the current way to do that. But there are ways of getting people involved. One thing I would like to see, and Mike had mentioned something about code enforcement, is to get a youth corps, young people who could help trim bushes and find out who the seniors and handicapped people or mothers with children and just can't handle it all, to help them with the yard work and things around their house to beautify those neighborhoods and have the young people feel valued, because they are certainly valuable and they've got energy. So those are some of the things. But back, if we get the dialogue, the trialogue going, there's a lot of things downtown that residents could join in on. And ultimately, I think one great big Ferndale neighborhood is what we're aiming for.
Okay, Dan Martin.
I think there are a number of things we can do to help strengthen the neighborhoods. I've talked ad nauseum about, neighborhood associations and block clubs. At one point, Ferndale had 44 of these organizations, and they still exist today, not in the numbers or the strength necessarily. And I think that that organization of the future may not look like it has been. There's a lot of more technology and online communities that can help, promote that. But I think we need to go back to helping provide the infrastructure and looking at models in other cities that have worked to help get those going again, and tapping into people like Betty Leframboise, who's done that in the past. Code enforcement is important. We want to make sure that obviously that people are keeping up their properties, but overall, the more we bring people together and work together, will increase their engagement and ownership, sense of community ownership, and they'll be more accountable to each other and help clean those up. Protecting our public safety, both with police and fire, is critically important to help strengthening the neighborhoods. And I agree with what Sherry said about engaging folks to help provide services to other folks, perhaps residents that can't do that. And we've already got a great model in place that I think we could promote much more, and I think has a great future, and that's the Ferndale Time Bank that Michelle Foster runs. And I think that's a great model, and we should put as much energy into that as possible, and that's going to help those folks, help us help our neighbors, and identify where those needs really are.
Thank you. Next question. What will you do to promote regional alliances? Sherry Wells?
Well, starting already with my own being familiar with some of the other city councils and getting more familiar with those is certainly a start. They recently had a regional meeting of the mayors, which is certainly a good start there too, and I'm looking forward to the information that our mayor got from that. It would be fascinating to hear how similar the problems are in the various cities, and yet the unique differences that each city would have, how they're dealing with them. One of the things that I'm looking forward to having access to again, as I did when I was on the Charter Revision Commission, is the Michigan Municipal League. They are just a wealth of resources. I was talking Thursday with a Rotarian from Ann Arbor who'd been the mayor in Ann Arbor, and she then had a job with the Michigan Municipal League, and we were just glowing terms about all of the resources that enables us to have. There are workshops and such, and those of us who attend a convention or a conference and attend every possible one that we can attend rather than being out in the hotel facilities, that we can get a lot more information that way too. Those are just starts. But I attended something at the Imagine Theater that Councilmember Piana had announced, and that was just an amazing start as well. Focusing a lot on the inner ring suburbs, which we are, and how we do all need to work together with the big city south of 8 Mile too, the one I was born in.
Thank you. Dan Martin?
Sure. I think there's a number of things to help promote regional alliances. One is to maintain and have contacts with city leaders, both formal and informal, in our surrounding communities. And through various organizations, I've been able to do that and want to work and expand those as we move forward. I think there are a number of regional initiatives already in place today that we should take leadership roles because they impact us dramatically. Mass transit being one of them. There's really no downtown that's going to be impacted north of 8 Mile as mass transit as much as Ferndale is going to be. And we should be a leader there. And I feel very strongly about environmental sustainability. And I think we have a lot of good discussion about what in Ferndale we can do to help promote recycling and programs like that. But if we're going to have a real impact on reversing adverse climate change and reducing our carbon footprint in this area, we've got to have a regional approach. It's got to be a regional conversation. And there are agencies and organizations already starting to have that, but we need to put more energy into it and be part of that strategy. So Ferndale, being a progressive activist town, is part of that solution. Because at the end of the day, we can tighten up Ferndale and it's going to be great, but the bigger impact is working together on issues like that.
Thank you. Mike Lennon?
Yeah, well, it starts, we're doing it right now. Ferndale is, and it starts with an email or a phone call, and from there it progresses. We are currently working, like I said, with a couple other cities right now where we have a contract with Pleasant Ridge. We are leasing space in our DPW yard to Pleasant Ridge and Oak Park. We're sharing services, and we're out there and we're talking. You have to tap the resources of each individual that sits up on council. The mayor might know somebody from one city, I might know somebody from another city, and so on. And hey, will you call this gentleman and this lady and set up a meeting and let's talk about police dispatch, let's talk about snow plowing and do this and that. And we're doing that. We do that every day. That's all we talk about, sharing services. So, and we're at the forefront of this, and I think we're going to continue to do that. And I think by the end of the year, you're going to see something in place. Thank you.
All right, next question. Do you have any ideas for boosting the business outside the downtown area? For example, Hilton Road. Start with Dan Martin.
Sure. The businesses for are we limiting the question to Hilton Road or beyond that?
Well, no, that's for example.
Okay,
that was the question.
Hilton Road's one area, definitely. Livernois, I would point out, is another area that has kind of a different tilt to it in the master plan. Ideas that I would promote as an example of what we've done recently with Garden Fresh Salsa to allow them to, with a very specified tax abatement on future revenues, not impacting the current budget, but that helps keep Garden Fresh in the city and expand and bring more jobs to the city is crucial. And marketing and recruitment and having a comprehensive economic development plan where we go out and attract these businesses to help bring folks into Ferndale and keep folks in Ferndale here will be incredibly helpful for Hilton. There has been progress on Hilton in the past few years, there's no doubt. There's also no doubt that we've got room to grow, and there are creative businesses going in there like Paper Chase that will help there. You know, Livernois is another great example where I think you know, a gallery and a more artistic community, as we build that area up, will find a very comfortable home that's in alignment with the neighborhood that's already there today. There are also nonprofits that have their headquarters in Livernois, and with some investment in that area, again, following a plan and being targeted about it, we certainly have the opportunity to drive growth in those areas.
Thank you. Sherry Wells?
I think the first thing that needs to be done is to communicate with the store owners that are now there, why they moved in, or the business owners, why they moved in there, what types of businesses would be good complementary businesses for them, to talk to the people in the very neighborhoods that would be most likely to use those businesses. It's difficult sometimes, as the DDA found out, in connecting with business owners because they're running their businesses. We don't have the chain stores here, and that's the unique part of being a downtown, is a chain store, a Bigfoot store, whatever they call those things, would be so opposite of what a downtown is and can be and should be. But at the same point, you've got individual business owners, the very one that meets you and greets you and waits on you in that business, it is not a full-time job. It's a full-time plus a full-time job to run a business. So having that kind of contact is the very first thing that we need to do, in recognition of the fact that they can't and will not generally attend meetings, but they can be communicated with directly and individually. And then to go out and pull in the kinds of businesses that the people want. If we want a walkable downtown, we want businesses, and there have been lists of citizens have said these are the kind of businesses we want. Well, we don't have a hardware store here. Many of us have wanted it for a long time. We don't have a plain, ordinary family dining. I'm trying to recruit somebody who wants to bring a family dining option here, working as hard as I can with him and his wife on that. Those are the things we need to do to make a variety of things. Mayor Coulter had said something about IT, the computer-related industries, and yes, those would be good as well, because that's the new heavy industry today.
Right. Mike Lennon?
Yeah, there's several key areas in this city that need some attention. 8 Mile, Hilton Road, and South Livernois. And South Livernois has made quite a comeback from what it used to be. But Hilton Road needs some attention, and we obviously know the problems down on 8 Mile. We have to go on a marketing plan. We have to market the areas. We have to get the information out to the business owners. And there are programs out there, and there are funds available, and there are small interest loans out through the county and through the state. And but they don't have that information, I don't think. And it's going to be council's job to get that information to them. And the mayor has mentioned that wants to do something about that, and I'm behind him wholeheartedly in this. Is we got to market ourselves, and if we have to go to these doors and these businesses individually to hand them a packet on what they can and cannot do, then so be it. We'll do it. But that's what our intentions are in the near future.
Final question: what could Ferndale look like in 10 years? Sherry Wells?
Oh, we get 10 years, not just 5.
That's right. It's much more challenging.
Our terms are longer.
I was going to mention.
Okay.
The mayor only got had to envision 5 years, so you have a bigger crystal ball.
Well, like Dan said, their terms are 2 years, ours are 4.
Well, there you go.
All right. Okay, so expand on the notes I made. Well, greener would be one thing, obviously, and we're heading that direction. We had our first Green Festival, and Ferndale is an incubator for festivals. As I've said before, the fact that it incubated the Pride Fest to where it now can be where it should have started out being, but without Ferndale could never have gotten down to Hart Plaza. It's the only city that could have or would have given it its chance. And then the Woodward Dream Cruise. So next is the Green Festival, Green Fair, the things that show that we can have green be a very, very positive thing in a much bigger scale. That would combine with the mass transit. I've been involved with the Historical Society. I write some books that relate to history and hear all these wonderful things about the interurban. It is a shame that that stuff was destroyed. But I hope we can bring it back. Downtown area will have stores for everyday people to come walk downtown. They'll have that hardware store. We'll have things that are more like the old-fashioned department store, dime store. The dollar stores just don't have quite the variety that people need to just go up on a Saturday afternoon and pick up. We would have millennials would be very involved. Our Rotary Club will be full of them. And we can draw from Hazel Park, Oak Park, Pleasant Ridge, Royal Oak Township, because we are the only Rotary Club in Southeast Michigan. So we can just draw from them all and incubate a few new ones. And we will not be paying for trash because we will be recycling so much that they will be paying us. That's just a start. I didn't do the second 5 years.
Mike Lennon?
10 years, that's an awful long time. That means that you'd have to run this time and another time and another time. That's a lot of community service.
I'm only reading the question.
Yeah. Well, in 10 years, I mean, I think we're on the right path right now, and we're walkable, we recycle. In 10 years, I'd love to see a convention center in the corner of 8 Mile and Woodward to replace those 2 hotels. A nice multi-use convention center, hotel, a parking deck, a community pool, community ice rink. Spread the wealth, but you know what? It all takes revenue. But I think we're doing fine, and I think we continue on this path. You're going to see some major changes come through the city here at relatively low cost to the residents, or no cost to the residents. But I think we're headed in the right course. We have a great base of volunteers in the city. The city council does not have all the answers. We have a lot of intelligent people live in this city, and we got to rely on them and have their input. And with that, I think we'll continue to grow.
Thank you. And Dan Martin?
Sure. My vision for Ferndale 10 years from now is a community that is less transient, where we have fewer people moving in and then moving out of Ferndale, which as a result, nothing against our seniors, I love the seniors. You know, when you look at our census now, that the average age comes down slightly because people and young families move in and they stay here. And that we've got businesses and industries that attract folks to work, and that we have a walkable community, that we have a viable regional mass transit program running through, you know, as part of Ferndale that's with it, that we've made the proper decisions through the years that puts Ferndale on the cusp of economic recovery, where our property values will be back on the upswing again, and that the investment that people have made time and time again in this city continues to pay off, and that we are a destination city, not only for those who are looking for someplace to move or just looking for someplace to visit, have an event, or go out on the weekends or enjoy one of our many festivals, which will be just as, if not more numerous in the future. To me, that's the Ferndale 10 years from now.
Thank you. And your closing statements. Let's begin with Mike Lennon.
Yes. Well, I want to thank the C.F.F. for having us here. Really looking forward to coming today. I've served on council for the last 8 years, and I think I've shown during that time that I'm fiscally responsible. I'm an independent thinker, independent voter on council. I weigh every issue, and at the end of the day, when I vote on something, the question I ask myself, did I do that in the best interest of Ferndale and its residents? And that's what I try to do with every decision, even if it's not a popular one. I think giving me 4 more years, and I'll show you that I mean business, and I intend to be here for the next 4 years to stay on the right course that we're on right now. I had written a speech for this and for the closing statement, and I veered from it because I just wasn't I was under the weather, and I just didn't bring it with me. But you know who I am, you know what I'm about. I don't mince words. I'll tell you to you like it is. Give me 4 more, and I'll give you the best Mike Lennon I got. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Dan Martin?
Once again, I want to thank the Citizens for Fair Ferndale for another forum. Every election, it's always great that you guys do this, and I think it's helpful and educational to the voters. I want to thank everybody for coming here tonight. I'd like to thank the residents of Ferndale for a number of things. One, putting up with us for the last few months as we're knocking on doors and handing out literature, and being willing to talk and listen and engage in a conversation about what's best and what's right for Ferndale. There's a lot of talk tonight about the future and the planning. And planning, at the end of the day, I don't care what issue it is, it needs to be a community activity with residents and businesses and city leaders. And it takes all of us to do that. And it takes a level of commitment to the city. And I think the city shows that, which is one of the many reasons I'm proud to be here in Ferndale, and I would be incredibly proud to serve this city as city councilman. My wife and I have said this a number of times, chose to settle here 7 years ago because we like the neighborhood and it kind of made sense, but because of all of you, we've made it home, and it's going to be our home for an awfully long time to come. So most of all, thank you for that. On November 8th, I'd like your vote, and I encourage you to vote for me because I'm going to make decisions that are responsible and keep Ferndale on a progressive path, that follow a vision that reflects the will and the needs of the community, and that I'm also accessible. Like I said, I want your vote, but I want people to feel comfortable with that vote. So if anybody has any questions about it, 248-672-4067, give me a call, and I'd be happy to talk to you about it.
Sherry Wells?
Yes, I thank Citizens for a Fair Ferndale for naming me as one of the people they honored last year, and for giving me an opportunity that evening to get more acquainted with about 9 other wonderful people. And I'd attended one prior when as a guest of one of your honorees. Your list of all the people you've honored is just a picture of a small part of Ferndale, because you're going to stay in existence forever honoring all the wonderful people who've helped make Ferndale keep getting better. I've got a website that is under construction, but that website will stay up after the election. It's got the kinds of information that I put in Ferndale Friends, but I hope it'll be much more available to the millennials. It will be new things as I learn new things. It will be the kinds of information people want. I've had several situations since this campaign where questions have come up. I've looked into them, gotten the answers back to those people or to those groups, and that's the kind of service that I would continue to do. I am a member of the Time Bank. I think it's a wonderful idea, and Michelle and I were talking about how we really need to reach out with that to the people who need it most, the people who are struggling, the people who have wonderful talents and services they could offer but need some of the talents and services that they can't do, don't know how to do. That's the kind of grassroots type thing that the Time Bank can really be for. So she and I are talking about how we can reach the very people in the ordinary, everyday ones of us that would benefit the most from that. But that is just, I'm thrilled that that kind of thing has come to Ferndale. I first heard about it when it was a much greater Detroit, and that's not manageable, but the little Ferndale, we can do wonders with that very kind of community building organization that is, and maybe that's, Time Bank is more than neighborhood block clubs is the way to go.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you. We're going to have another